Now, if you keep talking to everyone, offering them nectar and ambrosia, and you're bound to eventually unlock different weapon aspects. Now, I'm not going to spoil you on exactly how to unlock the aspects. That's honestly a fun part of the game that you will discover for yourself, and really nothing is too hidden, so it won't feel like a chore, I promise. But once you do have them unlocked, though, what's the best aspect to take, and what type of build should you go for with each aspect? Now, it's a matter of opinion for the most part, and that's actually a big part of what I like about Hades. For the most part, it encourages you to experiment and find good synergies, and while yes, there are synergies that will work better than others, nothing makes you worse, as is possible in many other roguelites out there with a build mechanic. That said, let's take a look today at the first weapon you have in Hades, the Stygian Blade, or is it Stygius? Stygian? I think it's Stygian. I think it's probably a short I. Stygius Blade, I think. Yeah, honestly, I have no idea. Now, I'm sure I'm going to get roasted in the comments for saying it wrong, but you know what? For those of you who only watch YouTube as an outlet for your anger, let me have it. I'm counting on you to let me have it and let me know how I'm supposed to say it. Anyways, so the blade, let's take a look at each of the aspects. I'll cover what I like to do and how I've found success. Now, if you have a build that you prefer for each aspect, please go ahead and leave that in the comments below. And seriously, it should help others who want to try out some different builds, which is why everyone's here in the first place. All right, the first aspect, the aspect of Zagreus. Adding Titan's Blood will give you more attack and movement speed. This is pretty straightforward. Now, I know in my tutorial I said that button mashing wasn't the way to play. Well, you can kind of button mash once you get 50% attack and movement speed bonuses, frankly. If you just need a way to smash your way through a run at the end of a long day, this is definitely the aspect to go with. The game starts you off with a fun aspect. There's nothing wrong with wanting to use it if you just like it. Just because it's a starter weapon doesn't mean it's bad by a long shot. As for a build, since you'll be going faster, using the Lambent Plume is a fun pickup for your keepsake. Smash and grab and get your dodge percent up very quickly. For boons, I enjoy focusing on a dash strike build. Artemis's Hunter Dash just gives you increased straight damage to the dash strike, which is nothing to shake your head at. And you could always then start to build something else directly onto your strike from there. You could use lightning, which then you can go for static discharge for that jolted effect, which is really nice, or go for hangover build with Dionysus. Anything that allows you to dash around and attack is really fast is gonna go nicely on this aspect. I tend to focus less on the special though with this one, unless I pick up an early Daedalus Hammer which powers my special in some way. But even then, honestly, there are a lot of options for upgrades which directly improve the attack. I'd go for any of those instead. My favorite with the aspect of Zagreus is the Piercing Wave, which adds a piercing attack / wave, think Link to the Past with full hearts, which even applies to dash strikes. Again, dash strike is definitely the way to go here. Next, let's look at the aspect of Nemesis. This aspect is all about critical damage, which can be super fun if you can pick up some boons from Artemis. When you use your special, you get a bonus critical chance for attacks over the next 3 seconds. This is less of a button masher, as you need to be strategic about when you move in with this starting special smash and then finish off with those follow-up attacks. As I mentioned before, boons from Artemis can help you since you can get even more increased critical chance, as well as the amount of damage you do during a critical can all be increased with her boons. Now, if you want to guarantee seeing Artemis early on, pick up her keepsake before you head out. Obviously, you can switch off this keepsake after you escape Tartarus, but it's a fun way to lock in the start of your build. One boon I wouldn't recommend is Poseidon with this build. You don't want to have attacks which deal knockback on your special, as you're using your special to trigger those critical attack chances, so knockback would just make it harder to close the gap with enemies. One special fun synergy to try out is Aphrodite's Heartbreak Flourish, which adds a weakening attack to your special. Then you can shoot for the Heartrend Duo boon if you have both Artemis and Aphrodite. That'll add 150% additional critical damage to weakened enemies. That makes for a very potent 1-2 punch. For Daedalus Hammer upgrades, there are a couple good choices. I prefer Double Nova for this build, as the so-called drawback of this upgrade is that your special no longer does knockback. Well, that's just fine if you're going for a special attack combo like I mentioned earlier. Double Nova makes the special hit twice, so that's just additional DPS and nobody can argue with more damage. Also, a good choice is Dash Nova. I've found this one more difficult to adjust to since it changes the way that your special attacks, but it does make you sturdy after your attacks, so that's a nice addition. You can also take Supernova, which adds more splash damage to your range of your special, and it increases the damage slightly. Personally, I haven't found this one to be as good as I was hoping it would be, but it's still a good one to take if the other two don't show up. On to the next aspect, the aspect of Poseidon. This is the aspect where you focus on a cast special build. Using your special will dislodge your cast from enemies. This is a tricky aspect to use well, but if you get the right build, it can help you to melt enemies. This is definitely not a button masher, but rather one where you want to focus on improving your cast as much as possible, and focus as well on your cast damage. Now, unlike the aspect of Nemesis, using Poseidon's boons for the aspect of, well, Poseidon actually makes sense, as the name would imply. If you pick up Tempest Flourish on your special, and then you can go for Razor Shoals and Breaking Wave and lots of things to add on to that, you can knock back foes away after you knock your cast out of them, giving yourself space to cast again, then special, and repeat. Another must pick up is Artemis's Exit Wounds boon, which does damage when casts are dislodged. Normally, honestly, a relatively useless boon, but this allows you to do a good amount of damage quickly with this cast special combo. Also, I definitely say head into a Chaos Gate when you see it. There's 2 Chaos boons which you want to try to pick up at least one of. One is Grasp, which gives you additional casts, or Shot, which increases your damage per cast. If you can pick up both, that's great. You'd have great RNG if you can actually pick up both in 2 Chaos Gates. Alright, finally, let's take a look at the aspect of Arthur. This is actually many players' favorite aspect on the blade, and for good reason. It does, however, change your attack significantly. You have a wider range of attack with a little more reach, but it is slower. It's basically, think of like a broadsword type of a build. But there's also a 3-attack combo with increasing damage on each strike, which rewards you for the following through on your attacks. Again, not a button masher for this one. The big piece, though, is that your special creates an aura which slows down enemies and projectiles when they are inside the aura. This takes some getting used to, but it can be a very fun build once you get used to the additional attack styles. Ares and Dionysus boons are a fun add-on to your special and attacks as you are slowing down the enemies, which makes that DOT or the actual doom from Ares a little bit more effective. For upgrades, there actually is an aspect of Arthur exclusive hammer from Daedalus, which is worth it. This is called Greater Consecration. This makes enemies 10% slower in the aura, which is nice, but it also increases the size of the aura by 45%, which is significant. Definitely go for that hammer upgrade with this aspect. And that just about does it. Just a couple of tips for you to know how to get started with the blade and all of their aspects. Again, if you have a build for an aspect that I didn't mention, just let me know below. I'd actually love to see it, and I'm sure others would as well. This wasn't meant to be an exhaustive list, but rather hopefully gave you some food for thought while you continue to not suck at Hades. Thanks for watching. Please do consider subscribing, and if you liked the video, leave it a like as well, and we will see you in the next video.